Speaker, we are in a very complicated situation. The Attorney General is the one who wanted the military to try civilian. He is the one who went to court. He is therefore a party to this case. So the procedural issue I am raising is whether after his comment, you will allow us, those who subscribe to the other party, also to make some comments, because he's a party. This one, Honorable Kiryowa, is the one who wanted the military to try with civilians. Yeah. When I met at Parliament, is that yesterday our lawyers who represent Dr. Besigye and Ajobed visited the Commissioner General of Prisons. And he said his understanding was that people needed to leave, Besigye and Ajobed needed to leave his prison on Friday when the judgment became effective. And he said he was there seated waiting for the Attorney General. Up to yesterday, the Attorney General had disappeared from him. The last time this happened, the last time people were in Ruzira on no warrant was after the fall of Idi Amin. I interviewed Brigadier Sewagala when I was a journalist, and he said they were driven to Ruzira, and they were told, you go there, the warrant will come. So effectively, I didn't know that things that were done by Amin soldiers and after can be done by Honorable Kiwanuka Kiryowa almost 40 years later. That's the information I wanted to give you.
I thank you.
Cannot sit because of this judgment. For the court martial, they are not waiting for a decree. There are also no discussion with anyone else, but they immediately stopped functioning, and I want to thank him. For release of prisoners, including Dr. Besigye, who is in Ruzira now illegally, because there is no detention warrant. There, the DPP is liaising. I have written to Supreme Court. Why didn't you render the same advice to the court martial that continue working as I liaise with the Supreme Court? Why do you think for them they needed to stop functioning immediately, but the others can continue disobeying? I am sympathetic to him. Maybe the same reason that court said military people cannot purport to be dispensing justice. Because the people were asking the Attorney General to advise, they have already expressed themselves. The CDF said Besigye can only get out of prison in a coffin. Really, what sort of advice can you give a person who thinks like that? Even if you are a professor of law times 3. The CDF, one of the supervisors of the General Court Martial, has said Dr. Besigye can only get out of prison in a coffin. He had even arranged to kill him. He had even identified a tree in Guru. And that's why I sympathize with you. Sometimes, sometimes these jobs, these jobs, I think we may need one time. The late Professor Kiduma Kubuya was asked to offer advice to the president, and he said in law, you may or may give no advice. That's how he used to talk. In this case, I choose to give no advice. That's what he told the president. One of the reasons he was eventually sacked. What advice do you give to a person who has made the statements that the CDF has made? And then the president who went to Luwero to fight killing people because he wanted power. Yes, in Rwanda they were not hunting, they were killing. He even speaks about it, how he was robbing guns from barracks, from Kabamba to Masindi to Hoima. He writes up. Trouble is that you support him, but you don't read his book. Because if you did, all this information is there. He went to Luwero to kill, he killed, robbed the banks, including one in Kabale. And then he said he was fighting point number one of NRM is democracy. And he says judges don't rule. So who rules Uganda? The president and his son. That what they say is sacrosanct. Even the Attorney General, you are wasting your time. So when the Attorney General tell me understand whether you can render an advice to two military men who have already expressed themselves. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the Constitution does not allow Parliament to take any decision whose effect will alter a judgment of court. In advising these military people who are not listening, the Attorney General said he was talking about an amendment. Can he tell us? And I listened to Honorable Fox Odoi very carefully, and I want to thank him. He said there's nothing to amend. But the Attorney General says they have advised him to amend. So what are you advising them to amend, sir? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The motion of adjournment to discuss an matter of public importance. So, Speaker, I want to thank you, Your Generals, in allowing us to make comments the way we did about the Supreme Court judgment. But because of the importance of this judgment, I am moving this motion, Mr. Speaker, to persuade you to adjourn the subject matter under consideration and to allow us at least an hour to discuss this matter. Why? The defeat in court was not a defeat just of the Attorney General. In fact, when Parliament was making this law, the Honorable Kiwanuka was not even the
Attorney General. So this judgment also touches on how Parliament conducts business here. How you are advised, because the way the Chief Justice described setting up of the court martial, he said it's like asking him to go to Mulago to begin operating patients. That's what Parliament did. And any MP worth the name must take this as a very serious matter. That what we did, what Parliament did in setting up the General Court Martial was like telling a lawyer to go to Mulago to operate patients. And second, Mr. Speaker, the constitutional order in the country, this judgment touches on the constitutional order. That you have a military that has taken over management of society. The CDF is issuing one tweet after another. We are now asking Attorney General to advise him. So the motion, Mr. Speaker, of adjournment is to allow us to present these matters to the satisfaction of the public. The public now is very happy with the judiciary. It is time for the public to also be very happy with the Parliament, especially because it's this Parliament that established that General Court Martial. I am lucky I was not in that Parliament. Otherwise, the words of the Chief Justice. So that's the motion, Mr. Speaker, that I am moving to adjourn consideration of the matters on the floor now to discuss a matter of urgent public importance, and that's the judgment of the Supreme Court.
To know whether the Right Honorable kimukenga kirimu ate nga bo tebagoberera ssemateeka bagoberera orders obwetaavu bw'ekiteeso ekyo n'obwetaavu bw'embeera efaananako bwetyo nga Parliament bulina kuzannya role ki mu kaseera kano
okusooka etteekawo regulating etteekawo enkola amagye gye gagoberera etteeka eryo liteekebwawo Parliament UPDF Act mu tteeka lye limu eryo Parliament ndowooza yali ya 7 oba ya 8 mwe yasinzira okuteekawo kooti y'amagye mu bukyamu kati kooti yegambye nti ekooti mwe nga Parliament gye mwateekawo mwagiteekawo mu bukyamu era obuwaayire obuli mu UPDF Act nebusazaamu kati Parliament esobola kwebuzaabuza eno ensonga bagifudde nga ya Attorney General naye Parliament erina okwekuba mu ttookera oba ebintu byekola birimu amagezi obijja buzzi nekola bintu mu nkola bwe kyokubiri Attorney General bwe tugamba agende awa amagezi gavumenti ekulemberwa amagye anaagisangawo giwa amagezi mutabani wa Museveni yakulira amagye yamaze eddayo Uganda court byasazeewo tagenda bikkirizaamu nekitaawe naaga tagenda bikkirizaamu kale Attorney General gwe tubadde tufudde kiso kya mbuzi tumugamba agenda abagambe ki mutabani wa Museveni yagaye nti Besigye afuluma komera nga mufu mu coffin kati balanga nti agenda omugambe nti afulume maybe twaligambye Attorney General atwalire muhoze coffin Besigye mwana afulumira because court yamugambye efulume oyinaga nti anakufulumira mu coffin kati Parliament yalikoze kusonda sente kugulira Besigye coffin bajiwe muhoze kaine lugaba asobole omufulumye komera